Hi, Swamini. And hello, Amy.
Ah, there it is. Okay, got it.
I was just reading over your bio, preparing myself.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Oh, I'm wonderful. I'm wonderful. Yeah.
There you are.
Yay.
Oh,
It's
wow.
coming in on someone else's Zoom link. I don't know what to do. It's like,
Oh.
where is everything? Uh,
Ah.
so you look radiant as always.
Oh, thank you. You
Ah,
too. You too.
thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I was just listening to your talk on City Datri.
Yeah. And there might
Good
even be
stuff.
because I've been celebrating Navratri now for years.
Hmm.
And I think that if you go back further, you'll probably find three or four other sets of talks that were
Oh,
recorded along the way
really?
from different years. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so cool, so cool.
Oh, it's wonderful. I love adoring the mother. It just brings such peace to the heart and the mind
Yeah,
and
yeah,
purpose to life for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. It's funny, for a long time I was really like all about Shiva. And recently I just been feeling drawn to the Ma and just putting all my energy towards the Ma.
Yeah. Well, many of the teachings say you can't have one without the other.
Yeah.
That, yeah, you'll be a devotee of whichever avatar you choose, but until there is a healthy relationship with both, it'll feel like there's something missing. And what's
Hmm.
missing is the other part, yeah, of the whole. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
all find our way to her eventually.
Yes.
Mm.
Wow. So what's going on with the ashram now? Are you the only one there, or is anybody else living on the ashram?
I'm the only one living here right now.
Mhm.
Right now, for the next few days, I have a few students of mine staying. They brought their RV up with their children, and they are, um,
Oh,
yeah, they're doing some volunteering, which is beautiful, and the kids have a chance, and they've got their dogs with them too, and so it's very nice.
oh,
And then I
cool.
have a few employees that come in as well from time to time, and twice a week actually, and a few other volunteers too. So people are in and out, but it's where it's supposed to be right now, which is quiet, and I'm very
Oh,
grateful
cool.
for that. Yeah.
Well, I have a camper van with its own bathroom, so
Oh,
maybe I
hey,
can come visit.
I've got a parking lot the size of Alsace,
Wow.
Pennsylvania. Yeah, come stay for a few days. Absolutely.
I would love that, and I'm fully vaccinated.
Yay! Congratulations. Me too. Me too.
Yay.
Did you have a rough time with the vaccine? Which one did you get?
I got Moderna. It was
Mhm.
fine. I
Yeah.
was a little tired, like, the next day, but after both.
Yeah.
But no biggie. How about you?
Actually, I had a reaction after both, the first one and
Oh,
the second one, and I didn't mind at all because it's so much better than the alternative, right?
yeah.
Um, but it was like the body aches and the fever and the whole nine yards. But it was gone in like
Oh,
18
wow.
hours, and then it was nothing. And then it was maybe a little bit of fatigue from time to time, but other than that, it's fine.
Yeah, yeah,
Such a
definitely.
deep sense of relief. Such a deep, deep sense of relief.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agreed.
How has the week been going so far?
It's been going really smoothly. And yeah, I've been just so immersed in like everything to do with the Ma. This whole past week, it's been really amazing. I'm gonna be a little sad when it's over.
It breaks your heart open. It really does. It really just kind of chisels away
Hmm.
whatever rigidity might have been there. And
Yeah,
yeah, and then you look forward to the next one. And they
yeah,
actually have Navratri 4 times a year, but there's only two that are, widely practiced. But can
right.
you
And the
imagine?
fall is the huge one, right?
Yeah, yeah.
To me, like prior to this, year, like Navratri was always about just going down to Jersey City and doing garba in the streets and, going to the different temples and making little offerings to Ma. But like I didn't really know anything about the different goddesses. And
Yeah.
like I was telling you earlier, I just love the whole idea of approaching it as a spiritual process. It's like a roadmap.
Yeah.
And
All
wow.
the questions are answered. Everything is, there's no question that remains unanswered. Even the
Yeah.
ultimate truth is there. Um,
Hmm.
if the heart is ready to hear it,
Yeah.
if the human heart is ready to hear it. Otherwise, we just keep going on, keeping on until it is. And then we find that it's been there all along. Um,
Right.
yeah. And some people say that's the greatest tragedy. And I'm like, no, I feel like it's the greatest gift, because as humans, we may have a disagreement about something, or one of us may turn away, and that could be the end of the relationship. But with Ma, you can come and go and come and go and come and go. You can deny her all you want. She doesn't mind. you know, she doesn't mind. She's always there. There's no getting
Aw.
away. Yeah, there's no getting away.
You
Will
do
I
you
be
have
sharing your
children?
book? What was that?
Do you have children?
I do. They're grown. And I have
Yeah.
grandchildren also.
Oh wow. Yeah. I mean, having a child really makes me understand that kind of love from the Divine Mother because my son could do anything and I would just there's nothing he
Yeah,
could do that to make me stop loving him.
exactly.
Just wow.
We do everything in our power to love and to protect and to nourish them. And it's the same exact.
Yeah.
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 Mm.
Before we start, I have one quick question.
Sure.
In the City Datri video from the last Navratri in the fall, you did a reading about her right after the meditation. Where is that from? What book?
I will have to go back and look at that one and see which one I chose to read.
Okay,
Um,
'cause I'm like, oh, it was so beautiful. I totally want to read that next Wednesday night when I do the City Datri Kirtan.
well, I'll go on later after the session is over tonight and have
Okay.
a listen real quick and see if I can draw it out. It might be from the Dark Goddess. Um, I'm not I'm not sure though. So let me see. Let me see. And I'll get you an exact quote for it. So
Okay. And let me get things set up for the Facebook Live.
wonderful.
Okay. Share in a group. Oops.
And then I'm going to go on and share also.
Goddess rising. Okay. Preparing live streaming preview.
Yay. Always good when it works, right?
Uh, yeah. Okay, let me just put it in the title in here. Satsang with Swamini Shraddhananda.
Hello, Amy and Andy. Hello, Kelly and Yvette. So good to see you all here.
Okay. Setting up your meeting for Facebook Live.
And then I'm able to share it from there, right? I should be.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. And I believe we are live.
I'm not seeing
Okay.
it yet.
And I don't want to turn the volume on because I'm thinking I'm going to feedback, but let me do it for just a second. Yeah. Oh, it's working. Okay, good. I turned that off.
Now you shared it on the event page, the Goddess Rising page.
It is on the Goddess Rising page. We're streaming right now.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, getting ready, Facebook land. We'll be with you momentarily. We have 2 minutes.
2 precious minutes.
Okay, great. We have some people here.
Hello,
And
and good to see you.
I'm going to just, I was going to pin you, but maybe you can pin yourself
It's
because
not
I have
allowing me to
to.
see. I'm on the discussion part, and the only thing that's coming up is Dana's. Did you put it on private? Did you change private to public?
Oh, let
Yeah.
me check that.
So you'll have to go into that window, and underneath of your name, you'll have to change it to public.
Okay, shoot.
Welcome, Ananda Rose. Welcome. Good to see everybody. We'll get started in just a minute. Hello, Mary. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Do you see where that is, Birabai?
I see it, and I don't see where.
So right underneath of your name in the upper left-hand corner of that little box where the world would be, if it was a public, it should have a little house or something instead saying private.
Oh, it says public group.
Hmm.
Try refreshing your page.
Yes, I just did. Oh, okay, there
And
it
you
is.
have to scroll
Gotcha.
down.
Very
Okay,
good. Okay, and now I'm just going to share this. There.
okay, wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. So, technology. No matter how many times I do this stuff, I still feel like a little challenged. Okay,
Truth of technology for sure.
yeah. So, it is 7:31. Let me introduce you, Swamini, and let me just get my little, here we go. Okay, so welcome everyone. So excited. This is, what night are we on? We're on Katyayani, right? But I forget what number night that is. Is it
Five,
number six,
five.
number seven,
Yeah.
number six? Anyway, we are so blessed to have Swamini Shraddhananda Saraswati here to give a talk on Navratri, something she's been doing for a very long time. Um, Swamini Shraddhananda Saraswati is a learned monk within the Shivananda order of sannyasins. She is also the co-founder and primary spiritual teacher of Kula Kamala Foundation and Yoga Ashram. In her early 20s, Swaminiji began practicing yoga and fell in love with the transformative, reaffirming, and uplifting lifestyle yoga offered her. She eventually realized that her heart was calling her to teach the wholeness and spirituality of yoga and to serve the wellness of humanity through seva, or selfless service. The author and lead teacher of several yoga and yoga therapy training curriculums, Swaminiji also founded two hospital-based yoga therapy programs, worked with abused and neglected children, at-risk teens, and abused women. For well over a decade, she has provided spiritual counsel to individuals seeking to heal from life trauma and gain spiritual clarity in their life and relationships. Academically, Swaminiji holds 5 educational degrees, including a doctorate in anthropology. She has taught graduate level courses in the science of yoga and meditation at Georgian Court University and undergraduate courses in cultural and evolutionary anthropology at Temple University and Monmouth University. In addition to speaking at several international and regional conferences on topics ranging from holism in social work to nonviolence and spirituality, Swaminiji has served as chaplain at Albright College in Reading, Pennsylvania, and continues to serve the Albright community through programs in spirituality and mindfulness. She is an avid writer who writes daily and has published 3 books of poetical reflections. Swamini Shraddhananda Saraswati offers experience and wisdom as a spiritual teacher, advisor, and humanitarian, that is grounded in decades of devotion, service, education, and practice. And with that, I will turn it over to Swamini ji.
Thank you so much, Mirabai. So wonderful to be here with you. And hello, everyone. Yvette, Susan, Robert, Mary, Kelly, Kathy, Connie, Colleen, Andy. Hello, Andy. I love your haircut. Ananda, and Amy, and of course, Mirabai. So nice to be with you all tonight. What a blessed time of the year this is. It is an opportunity to put down all of our thoughts, all of our worries, all of our distractions, and just come into a very deep, intimate, meaningful relationship with the Divine Mother. There is no greater gift, no greater gift. Mirabai and I were just talking before we started this evening that, it doesn't necessarily matter what tradition a person belongs to. And many traditions are male-oriented. There is the version of God in whatever name that happens to be. But many teachings tell us that until we come into a healthy relationship with the Divine Mother, it will always feel that there is something missing at the core of our being, something missing. And so when we come into Navratri, when we sit and chant to her on a day-to-day basis, when we work to remember her in as many moments as possible, we are filling up the emptiness with love and compassion, and with her glory, and with her greatness, with her essence. So let's sit tall and close the eyes, and just take a few moments to arrive. As you breathe in, feel that you are receiving the greatest gift, life. And that life comes from, and actually is, Shakti, the Divine Mother, the energy, the power of the universe. And she has given you this gift with the hope that you would live a life of expression, a life where you knew you were living, breathing, and being. And so with each exhalation, allow that to be an expression of the gift, your own personal expression. Breathing in, receive. And breathing out, offer. And feel that there is nothing other than you and she. And that in each breath, you come to know her more completely. You surrender at her feet more fully. And you become more willing to give her the very heart of your being. Beloved Mother Durga, shine your light upon us. Nourish us, keep us safe, protect us, teach us. Remove the veils of ignorance that keep us stuck in a state of suffering. Allow us to experience the bliss of consciousness, the bliss of your being, the bliss of your creation and your essence. Beloved Mother Durga, teach us to be the compassion and the straightforwardness, the love and the fierceness, the faith and the discipline. Put in our way not obstacles, but lessons that we might learn as we step through this life, one moment at a time, how to shed that which keeps us from you, so that we are more and more free every moment to surrender more and more completely. May we serve you. May we serve you well. May we serve each other, and may our hearts unify together to end suffering for all beings everywhere. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Breathing in and breathing out. You can keep the eyes closed for another moment if you like. I will share a prayer. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu Vishnu Maeti Sabdita Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Chaitaneti Abhidyate Substita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Buddhi Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Nidra Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Kshuddha Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhutishu Chaya Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shakti Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Trishna Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Kshanti Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Jati Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Laja Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shanti Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Shraddha Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Kanti Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Lakshmi Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Vritti Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Smriti Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Daya Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Tushti Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Matrurupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Ya Devi Sarvabhuteshu Vranti Rupenya Samstita. Namastasye, 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 namo namaha. Om. Bowing the head toward the heart, acknowledging the Divine Mother, and then drawing the face to center and fluttering the eyes open. And so the prayer will be the center or the starting point, perhaps, for the conversation this evening. The great story of Navratri is told in many different ways, many different variations depending upon where you are in India. But ultimately, every single telling holds the same truth. And that is that the mother, the divine mother, is the primordial power of the universe, without any doubt. The version of the story that I'm going to very briefly go through is not the one I usually tell, but it's very relevant because this is where this prayer comes from. So basically, there came a point in time where the universe was quiet again. And Vishnu, who is one of the three gods, one of the three masculine aspects of God, he was resting. When he's awake, he's the protector, he's the warrior, he's the sustainer, the maintainer. But he didn't have anything to do, so he was taking a divine nap called Yoga Nidra, the yoga sleep. And Yoga Nidra, in this regard, happens to be the essence of the Divine Mother in that particular form of sleep. Well, because in the midst of nothingness, something will eventually come. Brahma, the first of the masculine gods, had some work to do because he's known as the creator. And so he was birthed from the navel of Vishnu. And he's not a warrior. He has no weapons. He's never seen with weapons. He's the creator. That's what he does. He makes stuff. And so he started thinking about what to make. And then all of a sudden, out of one ear of Vishnu came a demon named Madhu. And from the other ear of Vishnu came a second demon named Katab. And that is the moment that duality was birthed. Duality came from the ears of Vishnu. One ear brought forth Madhu, one ear brought forth Katab. And immediately, they did not like Brahma and decided they were going to kill him, do him in. Brahma, seeing this, takes hold of the lotus flower stem that is growing out of Brahma's navel, which is how he emerged. And he starts shaking it vigorously, trying to wake Vishnu up, because Vishnu is the warrior. And so he needs Vishnu to protect him so that he can get on with his work of creation. But Vishnu is not stirring. He is in a deep, deep yoga nidra, the divine sleep. Brahma is very scared. He sees these two demons coming at him with no goodness in them. And he begins to pray to the mother. And he prays to her to please withdraw the yoga nidra. Please remove herself in that form from Vishnu's experience so that he might wake up and protect Brahma. And then Brahma will have the ability to continue his work of creating whatever needs to be created. He prayed and prayed and prayed many cycles of prayers. And the Divine Mother was so taken by his prayer that she withdrew herself. Now, when she withdrew herself, Vishnu awoke and recognized that Madhu and Kaitab were up to no good. And he began to battle with them. And some tellings of the story say that this battle went on for 5,000 years. And no matter how hard Vishnu tried, he could not defeat Madhu and Kaitab. Now, why could Vishnu not defeat Madhu and Kaitab when he's the warrior? Because the Divine Mother had withdrawn herself from him. So they prayed that she should return. Well, a few things happen. And it ends up that these two demons say to Vishnu, you know, we recognize that we're going to have this battle. And we prayed to you for a long time. We prayed to Brahma for a long time too. And so we think you should give us a boon before you kill us. And so he says, okay, that's reasonable. What do you want? They say, well, may we never be killed in water. And being that this is the primordial ocean, I guess we can never be killed. Well, Vishnu thought very quickly. And he took hold of Madhu and Kaitab and threw them into the air element, took his sword and cut them in half. And that was the end of them. He was able to do this because the Mataji, the Divine Mother, had come back to him. So grateful for the Divine Mother answering his prayers, Brahma, now able to get back to the work of creation, sings this prayer to her. Ya Devi Sarva Bhuteshu, Vishnu Maya, Vishnu Mayeti Sabdita. To that Devi who in all beings, in every single being is called Vishnu Maya, salutations to her, hails to her, glory to her, salutations again and again and again. And as we go down through this prayer, the prayer is translated as to that Devi who in all beings, Sarva Bhuteshu, who in all beings is reflected as consciousness. To that Devi who in all beings is abiding in the form of intelligence. To that Devi who in all beings is abiding in the form of sleep. To that Devi who in all beings is abiding in the form of hunger. To that Devi who in all beings is abiding in the form of shadow and higher self. Who abides in the form of power, in the form of thirst, in the form of forbearance, in the form of genus, the cause of everything. To that Devi who in all beings is abiding in the form of modesty, the form of peace, the form of faith, the form of loveliness and beauty, good fortune and wealth, all forms of activity, memory, kindness, contentment. All these things in all beings are the mother existing within you. So every moment that you experience sleep, contentment, joy, faith, sorrow, hunger, thirst, satisfaction, no matter what it is that you're feeling, what you are feeling is the power of her, the essence of her being expressed through your humanness. Oh, wow. Is that not so big? It's almost imperceivable. It's so big. You have to have a really good imagination, you know? We really have to have a good imagination there was a movie, I don't know, Mirabai, you might have heard this in one of the other videos, if I'm remembering correctly, I talked about it. There was a movie, I think it was in the 80s, where there was a woman who somehow jumped into a man's body and they were both cohabitating in the body. Is that Tom Hanks or somebody like that? And yeah, I don't remember the name of it right now, but it's a fun movie because, you know, they both existed in the same body, the actual owner of the body, and then this woman. And, you know, so maybe think about that, you know, like the mother is here, you're sharing this body with her, you're sharing this life with her, you're sharing these thoughts with her, you're sharing your intentions, your heart, everything with her, without exception, without exception. Doesn't that alone make us want to be better people? Just that alone, knowing that we are sharing this vehicle, this space, this life experience with the primordial power of the universe. Doesn't that just call the heart to be completely pure and present and full of love? Every time that I talk about this, it always wells up emotions, because there's no greater love than sharing the entirety of your being with another. And we look at our spouses and our partners and our children, and we think that we have accomplished that. But the reality is that with regard to our spouses, partners, and children, they're in their body vehicle and we're in ours. And while we commune emotionally and psychologically and through the heart space, there's an even deeper level of intimacy that we're talking about with the Divine Mother, because she is this body and everything that happens with it. I love the reference to the Divine Mother, the Shakti, which is a formless power. Many of the teachers in India would say, it's the current that runs through all the devices that you run on, like your phone and your TV. It's the current. That's the Shakti. And then the manifestation of the mother, is the phone or us. Yeah. So she's there on all those levels. And the only thing that she wants from us, if she even wants anything from us, is for us to explore and to experience and to play and to know her, to recognize. Not because it's some kind of an ego thing for her. She doesn't need us, but because she gave us a gift, a free will. And the free will tends to get us in trouble. We use our free will in ways that are harmful to ourselves and to others. And so, if there was anything that the mother would want for us, it would be for us to remember the pure goodness that exists within ourselves and to use our goodwill to alleviate suffering for all beings everywhere. So this Sarva Bhuteshu, all beings, let's just be very clear about what that means. It doesn't just mean humans, and it doesn't just mean the humans we like. It means all beings everywhere. It means the spiders and the snakes and the horses and the dogs and the cats and, the orangutans and the gorillas and the tigers and the lions and the bears, oh my, and the humans too. It means anything that is being, anything. So with that understanding, or even just starting to broach upon an understanding of the enormity of Sarva Bhuteshu, all the beings of the earth, comes a responsibility to recognize and acknowledge that we have a responsibility to walk upon this earth and through this life in a peaceful, calm, compassionate, unifying way that does not amplify the suffering of ourself or others, but that what in fact actually releases it or alleviates it. And Mirabai and I were talking, and I was sharing how, to me, there's nothing that I can read in the Hindu tradition or in any tradition, really, that doesn't have a step-by-step process for us to get to that point where we are living our goodness. Every single thing you read in the Bible, in the Quran, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Devi Mahatmya, every single thing that you read that is of a scriptural context, of a spiritual context, is telling you exactly what to do in order to awaken within yourself the enormity of that goodness. We just need to be open to the simplicity of that message, because it's not really some great mystery. The mother is the mystery. How to be good people is not a mystery. We need to shift our mind perception toward the good, direct our heart toward the good, allow our behavior to be full of goodness. And so, just in case there's any cloud or fog around those ideas about what goodness is, excuse me, the Divine Mother in this particular instance gives us many, many different suggestions about how to accomplish the experience of goodness within the self. So I'm going to back up for a moment now. And the two demons that Brahma was so frightened of and that Vishnu battled for all those years, my goodness, can you imagine battling two demons for 5,000 years? Imagine the energy that must take, the frustration that must bring about, right? Well, who are these two demons? Who are they? Madhu and Kaitab. Well, they're defined differently depending upon how you translate the words, but basically, Madhu means sweet or too much sweet. And Kaitab means bitter or too little sweet. So Madhu and Kaitab are bitter and sweet, or sweet and bitter. They are the two most fundamental opposites that we experience, that when our relationship with them is unhealthy and unharmonized, leads us toward harmful interactions in our relationships with others and in our relationship to ourselves. It causes us to forget the goodness that exists within ourselves and others. And so I don't feel that Vishnu is the only one fighting that 5,000-year war. I think we all are, because we're all battling the preference between what is sweet and what is bitter. And we can look at this elementally too and say that we could very much be talking about our attachment to sound as well. Because words can be very sweet. You like when someone tells you, good job, you did so well. Oh my gosh, you look so beautiful today. Oh, you're such a great person. We don't like it too much when people say, you look like you didn't sleep last night. You should dress differently. Or when they insult you, right? We like the one and grasp at it. We don't like the other and tend to avoid it, become angry over it. So when we're talking about sound, what we hear, what we say are our own words, sickly sweet or harmfully bitter. Additionally, we have taste. That's the other aspect of the senses that we can talk about with regard to Madhu and Kaitab too, that when we have sweet food, we kind of like that, right? When we have bitter food, especially if we're not expecting it. You ever get a cup of coffee from Starbucks and it's just entirely too bitter? It's like you can't even drink it because the milk has curdled or the oat milk has curdled, whatever you put in there. So we enjoy one too much and we don't enjoy the other enough. And both of those reactions are egotistical. So in order for us to take a step forward on our spiritual path, we actually need to slay Madhu and Kaitab. We need to harmonize our preferences. We need to not be so attached to that which makes us feel good and not be so angered over that which doesn't. We won't ever destroy these completely as long as we are in a human form. But we can certainly adopt spiritual practices to learn how to rise above these feelings. And yes, there is always a proper time to be angry, right? In our psychology, there's a healthy anger, but if we were going to be truly honest with ourselves, we would say that the world is full of a lot of really unhealthy anger today that has really not much of a foundation. Yeah. So this great battle that occurs, beginning with Brahma and Vishnu and Madhu and Kaitab, it continues on. And eventually it's the mother who comes in to do the work because, you know, Ma is the power of the universe. And so she's the one who can get the rest of what needs to happen done. And in this battle epic, the Devi Gita or the Devi Mahatmya, there are 6 groupings of demons that she faces, starting with Madhu and Kaitab as the first coupling. And interestingly, there's also 6 chakras, primary chakras. Yes, I know there's the 7th one, but is this really a chakra, or is this what you feel when you have awakened and become enlightened, or, you know, experience samadhi? The Sahasra at the top of the head is actually the spiritual gate to oneness. So in this instance, we won't speak of it as a chakra per se, but as a gateway. So there are these 6 groupings of demons, and then there are the 6 chakras, and Madhu and Kaitab very easily fit into the first chakra, the chakra that is responsible for our feeling insecure, unhappy, ungrounded, like we don't have enough. So if we wish for that root chakra, the Muladhara, to have a healthier experience in this life, then we need to regulate or harmonize our experience with our preferences, with the opposites that we encounter on a day-to-day basis. Step 1, or demons 1. Demons number 2, Mahishasura. Mahishasura is the bull, and he is oftentimes referred to as the ego. He is the epitome of the ego. He also represents lust and rage. And so in order for us to step forward on our spiritual path, on this journey of relationship with the mother, we need to get our lust and our rage under control. We need to bring our energy under control so that we can direct it toward that which is going to empower the goodness within to become radiant, rather than be wasted in moments where we think we're reacting in a way that we should, but we're not really. And how do we know we're not really reacting in a healthy way? Is because she's nowhere in our mind. Only guilt, anger, remorse, resentment, vengeance. These other types of disruptions are there, filling up the space that could be her. So the second thing that we can do as spiritual aspirants is we can take an honest look at the condition of our ego and the condition of our energy, and then begin to take active steps to harmonize it. What steps might we take? Well, you know, we can have a yoga sadhana, we can chant, we can meditate, we can pray, we can serve and serve some more. Service, seva, is the greatest way to heal the self, the greatest way to empower compassion and empathy, the greatest way to bring the self to an understanding of what suffering is, and to bring forward within ourself a true impulse to alleviate that suffering, where there's dedication involved. So Mahishasura, so she finishes him too. The next one that comes is Dhumra Lochana. Dhumra Lochana. Dhumra means smoky or foggy, misty, and Lochana has to do with the eyes, so it has to do with seeing. And so Dhumra Lochana is confusion. It's a confused perspective. It's when we are cloudy in our mind and we allow that cloudiness to guide us. We could say doubt also here. And as many of the great teachers have said, doubt is one of the #1 poisons of the heart. So if we allow doubt to take root in our heart, in our life, in our thoughts, that doesn't leave much room for devotion to her. So Mahishasura was very, he was very egotistical. He was very full of himself. He loved Durga. Of course, he didn't know who she was at the time, but he wanted her. He wanted her. He wanted her so badly, he felt he could just take her. And we are very much in this vein too, are we not? But we cannot just take her. We must surrender to her. Be with her. Spend time with her. Take this opportunity of Navratri to recommit ourselves, or to commit ourselves for the first time to the impulse of the heart, to come to know her, truly come to know her, clearing away all of these obstacles to love, to unity. So Dhumralochana, the confusion, we need to harmonize and come into right worldview. The next are Chunda and Munda. And Chunda is passion, cruelty and violence. Munda is impurity of the mind, distraction of the mind. And so as Mother Durga is battling along with her Dasha Mahavidya, her wisdom goddesses, and the Nav Durga, the 9 goddesses of Durga, as they're battling these demons, they're showing us that we too must battle. We too will need to pick up the sword or the axe or the mace or the chakra. We too will have to do this work. There's no way out of it. And so we can consider them to be our sensei. You know, Mother Durga is our sensei. She's teaching us what to do and how to do it. All we have to do is follow in those divine footsteps and harmonize our passions, release our attachment to passion. It's not wrong to be passionate. It just depends. Is your passion causing you to become angry, irate, and hateful? Or is your passion to bring you to generosity, to bring you to a place of sincere appreciation and gratitude, of sincere giving, of sincere recognition and reconciliation? There's differences with the passion. Where does it bring you to? That is the question we can always ask ourselves in order to understand if it's healthy or if it's unhealthy. And then after Chunda and Munda, we have who, every time I talk about this particular demon, I think of Godzilla. I'm not sure why, but a big demon. He's so big. His name is Rakta Bija. His name means blood seed. Blood seed. So if in battle he is injured and one drop of his blood touches upon the earth, 10,000 more of him emerge. That's a pretty scary demon. And we might read the Devi Mahatmya or, you know, some other text that talks about this and think to ourselves, oh, thank goodness that's not real. Isn't it though? What about your desires? Don't you have 10,000 desires? And don't those desires drive you a bit mad at times? And maybe you were a smoker and you decided one day, I'm going to be healthy. I'm turning over a new leaf. That's it. I quit smoking. So you put that smoke down. But the moment that smoke touched the ground, 10,000 other desires arose to take its place. And if you're an ex-smoker, you know exactly what I mean by that. Chocolate, pizza, something else, who knows? So Rakta Bija is the symbol of our desires. And this stage of our spiritual aspiration is telling us we really need to understand how to bring our desires under control so that they're not constantly multiplying and so that they're not constantly driving us mad. We need to harmonize our resiliency and our strength. We need to come from that place of straightforward clarity. No more cloudiness, no more dhumralochana, only seeing clearly. This behavior does not serve goodness, therefore I will not do it. This intimate relationship is not serving either of us. We either need to fix it or release it. And as difficult as that can be, the act of straightening one's own life, of making choices that are healthy for the heart, for the mind, for the body, and for the soul, opens up space within ourselves into which we can invite the mother. Not that she isn't already there, but we have to feel like we do something along those lines, you know. So here, Ma, I'm creating this space within my heart just for you. Yes, I know you are the space within my heart, but now I'm acknowledging that. I'm saying, yes, these other weights on my mind and on my soul have been alleviated, and now I can actually see that you are the space within my heart. You are my heart. You are this body. You are this mind. You are everything. You are this breath. You are all of it. You are my difficulties. Yes, you are. And you are also the cure. You are the cure. So after Rakta Bija comes the sixth grouping of demons, and this is Shumba and Nishumba. Shumba is pleasant. Nishumba is not. Shumba is good. Nishumba is not. And we walk through this life in such a way that that is how we label things. We are conditioned. We have conditioned existence. This is good, that is bad. This is bad, that is good. This is pleasant, that is painful. And we tend to make our decisions based on that assumption, without regard, most often, for the divine essence of the mother and all that she has in store for us, for the reconciliation of our karma, for the remembrance of our heart. It's unfortunate to say, but the truth. If suffering wasn't on some level necessary, it wouldn't happen. But how much suffering is necessary to remember? The level to which we suffer is an egotistical act a lot of the time. But the one good thing that comes from it eventually is the remembrance of the inner goodness and the impulse to change our lives so that we are holding a sacred space for her, and within which we can commit ourselves over and over and over again to the relationship that we want to have with her. So there's also, now we're in this Navratri, and this huge war is happening, this huge battle with these demons. And in this moment, there is the Nav Durga. And so every day now that you've been joining Mirabai and all the other wonderful speakers, you've been learning a little bit every day about the different goddesses. Now, these goddesses are not different from Durga. They are Durga. And as a matter of fact, when Mahishasura said to her, "You're a coward. You're here with these goddesses. What's the matter? Can't you fight me by yourself? You need all these?" And she looked at him and she said, "You're confused. There's no one here but me. There's no one here but me." And with that, she took them all back in for a moment. And then she ended him. Just to be clear. Just to be clear. But just as we can look at these six groupings of demons and we can say that this is the spiritual work that we need to do, this is what we must overcome in ourselves and in our tendencies, we can look at these 9 goddesses and we can say, These are the qualities, or if we want to use the word, these are the weapons necessary in order to overcome what must be overcome. And so we start with patience. Shailaputri, patience. Patience and humility are of the utmost importance. We understand that purity of the heart with brahmacharya. The heart must be purified. We need to recognize that, be honest with ourselves about it, and embrace purity, not puritanical mindset or any of these other kinds of interesting words that sometimes people put to this. I always find it confusing. People don't like the word purity a lot of the time. They think it implies a form of forced fundamentalism. But that's not what we're talking about here. That's egotism. We're talking about devotion. We're talking about, beloved mother, this heart, the beating heart and the energetic heart belong to no one but you. And I will love all as evidence of my love for you, because I know that you are all and all is you. And in order for us to live that life, we must purify whatever stands in its way within ourselves. When we're talking about purity, I also like to reflect that it's not about pointing fingers and saying you and you and you, and I know what's wrong with you. No, no. The more that we point our finger at other people, the less we're doing our own work. And the deeper we are becoming stuck in a state of ignorance about what we really do need to do. So my guru, Swami Aryatmananda Ji, he always says, MYOB, mind your own business. He says, you don't need to worry about what other people are doing or are not doing. Krishna tells this to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. It is repeated over and over again. Do not concern yourself with what other people are or are not doing. What are you doing or not doing? Adjust yourself and you will adjust your part of the world. And if enough of us adjust ourselves and our parts of the world, then eventually the whole world will be adjusted. The whole human world. The divine world doesn't need to be. Then we come to compassion and righteousness. And then we come to peacefulness and bravery. And these are all of the beautiful qualities that the Divine Mother suggests to us that we need to cultivate within ourselves and cultivate in a very pure manner, in a very complete manner. Selflessness. And then today, Katyayani. So Katyayani is the fierce form of Durga. She is considered to be extremely fierce and also goes by the name of Bhadrakali. And she, interestingly, even though she is the fierce form of Durga Ma, she's also the goddess of marriages. So if you're looking for a good husband, you chant to her. I always found that so interesting. And then I realized why. Relationship. We must, especially in our most intimate relationships, be fierce about our commitment to goodness. It is too easy when the child lets us down, when the spouse lets us down, when the partner lets us down. It is too easy to fall back into old patterns. So we must be the fierce warrior, just like Bhadrakali, just like Katyayani. We must end desire. She's the one who did it in Mahishasura. We must end desire so that we can have harmonious relationship. And not the harmonious relationship that is based in some kind of psychological imbalance like denial, but harmonious relationship that is truly harmonious because it is founded in unconditional love. Absolute love and absolute recognition. And so Katyayani, this is what she teaches us. She says, this is important. And it comes kind of like at this halfway mark, a little bit more than halfway. It's like we've started to cultivate the inner qualities. Now we also have to look at how we walk through the world. And we must become truthful with ourselves and with those around us about who we are, about who we wish to be, and about the ways in which we ourselves impede that within ourselves and within others, how we ourselves are the obstacle. Until we move through this one, until we ourselves become the warrior, the warrioress in this regard, until we hold fast our healthy boundaries in our relationships so that we have knowledge of the space within which to cultivate the relationship of love with the mother, we will not have healthy relationships. We will have relationships that teeter-totter over the fiery pit. I was watching a show with my nephew, my grandson recently, and I don't remember which show it was, but there was, maybe it was The Boy Who Would Be King, I'm not sure, but he had to kind of like walk across this fiery pit, and there were like all kinds of bugs and interesting things down there that were, not nice. Nobody would want to fall in there. And looking at that, I was thinking, that's like the spiritualist walking through life, straight and narrow. The kind of clarity that we need to cultivate within our heart in order to be able to do that takes a lot of courage, bravery, compassion, acceptance, devotion, all of it. And I would continue there, but I don't want to ruin tomorrow night's talk about where Katyayani brings everybody, because it makes complete sense when you think about it, the trajectory, what we must overcome and when, what footsteps. And we're always working on all of them. But there are some moments when we get those aha moments, when we recognize the work is happening. I can feel the change. I can feel the alchemy. I can feel the goldenness coming through. I feel the soul being polished and the heart being open. And then we have a recognition of what has changed. And we say, I will never go back and do that again, beloved mother. I promise, I promise, I promise. And 5 minutes later, what are we doing? We're living in yesterday. And Ma, you know what she does? She just laughs. And she says, this is my Maya. This is my play. And so no matter whether we think we are found or we think we are lost, no matter whether we think we are awakened or we think we are completely ignorant, no matter what we think, we will never not exist in the midst of her greatness, because everything that exists is her greatness. Nothing can be separated from that, ever. So we're coming upon the 8:30 hour. And with that, I will just ask Mirabai, love, do we have time for a Q&A? Does anybody have any questions that they would like to ask?
Absolutely. I think we have time. If anybody has any questions, feel free to either write them in the chat or unmute yourself.
Or even reflections, reflection
Yeah.
sometimes too, because these stories differ, different areas of India, and the vocabulary differs in different parts of India too. And I always try to honor that and to acknowledge it. But yeah, so if anything that I said this evening sounds a bit different than what you have learned previously, just remember, all things are the mother. The mother is all things. In every which way. And so Kathy, hello, Kathy.
Hi, good evening. How are you? Thank you so much. It was so much information. It was amazing. It was a delight for real. And it's incredible how the universe just puts everything together, because I've been wanting to get information about yogi and all the spirituality. And all of a sudden, my friend Colleen today, she sent me that, and it was like, oh my God, it's incredible. Whatever I think about, it just appears. The universe just puts everything aligned, for what you want when you're in tune with it. So I'm very blessed to be here. Thank you so much. That was beautiful. And thank you for having this meeting for us. I appreciate it. Thank you. It was amazing.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for your reflection. I appreciate you being here. And all thanks go to Mirabai, because she organized all of this. Such a lovely, lovely, lovely human being, such a beautiful devotee, bhakti heart completely. Absolutely. And I see we have a question from Yvette. Did these demons come from Brahma's creativity or Ma? It's actually a wonderful question. And depending upon who you ask, you will get different answers. Here's, as a Shakta, as a devotee of the mother, this is my answer. They very well could have come from Brahma. After all, his job is to create. However, the reason why he can create is because Ma allows him to. Therefore, ultimately, they're her demons that she has created, or that she has allowed to be created. She is the Maya, right? She is the illusion. She is also the clarity. She is our trouble, but she is also our solution. She is the illness and the cure. None of this is not her. And therefore, if everything is her, and there is nothing that can exist outside of her, then there is some part of those demons that are her as well. And there are a few stories, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, where she has great compassion for them. She truly does. She doesn't just kill them. She doesn't just say, that's it, you're done for, get out of here, you're not worth my time. She actually dances with Mahishasura. She dances with him, and she gives him thousands of years to change his mind. She gives him thousands of years to become humble, to take at least that first step on the spiritual path to realization, the humility. But eventually she recognizes that it's not his time, and to continue would be potentially harmful. So she ends it. That is her great compassion, is to not allow the continuation of what can be avoided. And in the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Devi Mahatmya, and potentially every other scripture that has come from India, there someplace states that pain, that future pain, which can be avoided, should be. So cultivate the qualities within ourselves needed in order to not bring about that future pain. Oh, you're very welcome, very welcome. And Colleen, will there be an email for tomorrow night's talk? Mirabai, love.
There's only a couple people who are really like just giving talks. A lot of what's happening is chanting for the Divine Mother, and everything is posted in the Goddess Rising Facebook group, and I have put the link to that group in the chat. And whether you're on Facebook or not, you should be able to view it because it's public. And I had a question, Swamini ji. In one of your talks, you talked about our true Dharma and why we're here on this earth. What is our purpose? And you talk about Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Oh, certainly. It's one of my, if I had a favorite thing next to the mother, it would be that. So oftentimes, when people are speaking spiritually, they'll speak of Dharma, and they'll speak of it in a very limited way. Well, my Dharma is to be a lawyer. My Dharma is to be a doctor. My Dharma is to be... That's not wrong, but it's not complete. Your Dharma is not to be a doctor. Your Dharma is to be a good doctor, an ethical doctor, a virtuous doctor. Your dharma is not just to be a teacher. Your dharma is to be good, virtuous, and ethical in whatever it is that you do. The word dharma means duty. And so when we are brought into this body, our first duty is to overcome our violence. Overcome our violence, because until we overcome our violence, we cannot realize the power of Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. May all beings everywhere be peaceful and free from suffering. If we wish to really manifest that, to materialize it in this human-made world, then we must obliterate all the causes against it, everything that arises against it. And the place where those things arise are in our very own self. So we not only need to look at the world and recognize how we are stepping violently upon her or walking harmfully through her, we also need to acknowledge that there's going to come a time and a place where we need forgiveness. And forgiveness is actually Gauri. She is the radiant one. And that's one of the qualities that she teaches us. She's one of the Navratri also. And so we will have to someday forgive those who we feel have harmed us, because the longer that we hold grudge against them, the longer we harbor hate or vengeance in our heart for them, the more we are standing in the way of Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Now, the Baha'i tradition, they have a beautiful teaching. One of their scriptures is the Certitudes. And in there it states, when the divine, when God sends prophets to the earth, he sends a prophet for the time. And over time has sent many prophets with a message for the time. And between the beginning of time and the end of time, the only moment that you will know the entirety of the message is when all those prophets' messages are accepted, brought together, and seen as one. They go on to say, every single religion in the world is only part of the unity of divinity. Each one has a specific message for a particular community. Unity will only occur when all the churches and religions come together and accept all teachings as part of the greater one. Similarly, people, humans, we think we're so individual, and maybe on some level we are, but not one of us knows the truth alone. It's only, according to the Baha'i tradition, when all human beings come together and accept each other completely, that all else will be reconciled and we will come to know the truth. As long as hate or violence is harbored within a single heart, we still have work to do. And that is our Dharma. Mirabai, thank you so much for organizing this beautiful week. Thank you so much for inviting me to be part of it. Thank you to everyone who came to listen, Yvette, Susan, Stella, Sean, Mary, Connie, Andy, Ananda, and Amy. And to everybody who was here earlier, thank you to everybody on Facebook who has tuned in as well. I wish you all well. Be warriors on your path. Recognize that there's nothing more. There's no happiness greater. There's no healing more complete. And there's no love more radiant than when you hold yourself as the space of the mother. Then all within you and all outside of you will see that. And that will be healed too. Thank you. Let's sit tall and close the eyes. And we'll chant 9 times, Om Shri Durgaye Namaha. Taking a nice breath in. Om Shri Durgaye Namaha. 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 Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Guru Bhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Thank you so much. Many blessings. Have a lovely night.
Thank you so much, Swamini-ji. Appreciate you so much.
Thank you, Mirabai.
And good night, everyone. See you again tomorrow. God bless everyone.
God bless you.